The EG4 PowerPro battery is a sleek, compact, and extremely heavy unit. This battery actually solves a lot more problems than I think it was originally intended to when they designed it. And today we're gonna see how it stacks up and if this battery is actually worth the investment. So welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. We have had this PowerPro battery for months. You guys have seen it in tons of other videos. This is probably the longest use we've put into a single thing before we've made a review on it. We've tested this with tons of different inverters. It's been over here permanently installed for the last 2 months, just cycling our mini split, keeping the garage warm now that the winter season is here. So we feel like we're equipped to tell you our honest experience and opinions on this battery. As always, not only do we want to be honest with you guys, but we want to try to help you save some money where we can. So we do have some discount codes and links to this in the description down below if you're interested in checking it out. Otherwise, we're going to hit you guys with a super quick 2-minute spec teardown in case you're not already familiar with this gargantuan beast. First up, this battery does not pass the Tiny Baby lift test. It's actually the reason he's been on the injury reserve for the last few videos. He tried to get this thing off the ground and he blew his little back out. And so if you're wondering how we got this battery on the table with Tiny Baby on the injury reserve, our maneuvers were not OSHA approved. This is a 48-volt battery at 280 amp hours or 14 kilowatt hours of storage. And this battery is rated to charge and discharge continuously at 200 amps, which is 10,000 watts. And you can actually stack up to 64 of these in parallel with communication if you're trying to back up all of Mississippi. This one right here is the outdoor rated version. It's actually fully UL listed and IP65 rated, so this thing is actually meant to be installed outdoors. The outdoor version is self-heating. It actually starts to heat itself once it's below 0 degrees. It does have the little rubber feet underneath. It's also got a mount on the back, so you can mount this thing just off the ground to make sure that it doesn't tip over. It includes all of EG4's new safety features, which is also how it's got the UL listing. It's got the rapid shutdown built directly into it, fire arresters, temperature sensors, all that stuff. And when you're taking a look at the actual design of this battery, when you pull off these little side covers on the outdoor one, you have all of your negative battery connections on this side. You have your state of charge lights, you have your screen, you have your ID switches underneath this little nameplate right here, and you also have your BMS power button. There's also a handle right here. If you have 2 people, 1 on each side, I guess you could use that handle. I don't think we've ever touched that handle actually. And on the other side under the door, you have your breaker switch, you have your watertight communication ports, you also have your positive battery connections. This thing is EMP hardened straight from the factory and it has a 10-year warranty, which we don't normally talk about, but seeing that it's an outdoor rated product, I feel like that 10-year warranty is huge. And right now, this unit with our discount code at Signature Solar is actually $3,549, which is like $248 per kilowatt hour. So that's just less per kilowatt hour of the equivalent amount of EG4 LL battery. So jumping into everything that we like about this battery, before we get into the results of our testing and everything, I think this is the right place to start. Unlike a server rack battery, this thing is so easy to set up. Not that server rack batteries are hard, but this has one ID switch that you flick to tell it which battery it is. You hold down a single button, select a protocol, plug in a communication cable, and you're done. This battery is giving me the least amount of headache when I'm connecting it to all the different inverters that we've had it connected to. It's the easiest thing to just plug in and rip. And when it comes to the design of this thing, I actually think it makes a lot more sense in a lot of applications than some server rack batteries. This was meant to be outside and in someone's yard or in their garage, backing up their entire house with a bunch of them. But these, the indoor version, the outdoor version, depending on what type of cat you are, these serve a really cool purpose. Like Josh's cabin, for example, that we showed you guys earlier this year, he's running Delta Pros because he doesn't have the room for server rack batteries and the whole cabinet and all the wiring that goes into it. But one of these would solve all of his problems. It'd be more storage than he has right now. It'd be cleaner and smaller than server rack batteries. It's a huge pro to have something like this in your toolkit. And going on the design, not only is it slim and sleek and has a nice little footprint, everything is just weather rated and I really like that. Even the battery terminals, how they have the quick disconnect. I like that everybody's been switching over to that style. It's just super easy to do and use. This also has the conduit box that you're supposed to pair it with to make it like fully waterproof. If you put it with the 18K, which is kind of what they're like packaging it as. So you put the conduit box on top. It has the screws on the top already to bolt through the conduit box to it. So your wires can run up out of these holes into the conduit box, up into your 18K. The whole thing is sealed and no water can get in there at all. We also really like that this battery has an indoor version. EG4, we've said it before, is a company that actually considers their customers and what they might want or need. So it's really cool that if it's gonna be inside, you don't need it to be self-heated, you don't need it to be weather rated. And so they actually offer a same battery, but in a cheaper version without the weather rating and the heating and those kind of things for a couple $100 less. So if you're building a whole system, you can actually save thousands of dollars if you don't need them to be outside. I like the performance. It went really well. You guys will see that in the testing section of this video. And it's EMP protected straight out of the box. EG4 has been doing that for some of their newer products. There's no additional fee for the EMP protection like a lot of other companies are trying to charge you for EMP protection. These products just come that way. And the last thing we like, you guys know that we've mystery shopped Signature Solar to find out how legit they really are. And it turned out they had great service. They treated us really well. And with this battery, if you go ahead and buy like the EG4 version or another brand that has a similar product, you might get a decent battery, but when it comes to like calling the company if you have questions or support, you're gonna go from getting this.
So it needs 240 to charge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. That's the only question I had.
To this, which is significantly worse, and you're only saving like a couple $100. If you run into problems, you're hooped. I think the biggest thing that I don't like about this battery is that it's only rated for 200 amps of continuous output. And that wasn't the clearest originally. I think at this point, their website does state it. I don't know if it's changed. I don't know if we missed it, but most batteries, like a server rack battery, says it's 100 amp hours. That means that correlates to the actual storage capacity, 51.2 volt battery, 100 amp hours, 5,120 watts of storage. This, the 280 amp hours at 51.2 volts is 14.3 kilowatts of storage. But where they're different is server rack batteries, if they say 100 amp hours, normally they have to go with that a continuous output of 100 amps. This battery is rated for 280 amp hours, but it only has a continuous output of 200 amps. So you're getting a 14 kilowatt battery, but you can't use 14 kilowatts, you can only use 10. So that part is a little confusing and it might just be a little misleading to some people. The point is, it's a 10,000 watt rated output. Something that everybody kind of touches on, which is that this is massive and kind of hard to wall mount. But what I don't think people are thinking about is that it's not really meant to be mounted 6 feet up the wall. It's meant to be mounted to the wall so it doesn't tip over. It is still a pain in the ass to do. You need a friend or an installer that can just figure it out. Another thing we don't like is that compared to the competition and similar types of batteries, it is a little bit more expensive. If you look at something like the EG4 batteries, it is a bit more expensive than those. I guess where that kind of balances out is that you don't need a copy of Duolingo to go ahead and get this one started. You can actually understand the manual. It's very simple to get it up and running. And when you call customer support, you get someone in Texas, you don't get this. But at the end of the day, a lot of people, when you're building a big system, it comes down to dollars and they might miss out on a really good product because it's just a couple $100 more than the competition. When it comes to testing, there's a couple things you want to make sure a battery like this can do. And the first one is discharge as advertised. It's rated to run at 200 amps continuously. So it's supposed to run 10,000 watts continuously with no problem. It says it can do 10.5 kilowatts for 10 seconds and 15 kilowatts or something like that for 3 seconds. So we went ahead, obviously put that to the test. We ran a 220 amp load on this thing and it lasted about 10 seconds. It was also able to surge up to that 15 kilowatt range. We have a massive 15,000 watt heater that we run here in the garage when it gets really cold. And it was able to actually go ahead and start that, which surged it up to like 300 amps. And it was able to run that heater for, I think, about 10 seconds, which was actually way more than advertised, which was pretty impressive. So basically, you'll never run into any issues with this. It's designed to work with the 18K PV. With that system, you'd probably want 2 of these batteries, and with 2 batteries and that unit, you should never run into a problem. The cold weather test, unfortunately, we could not freeze this one solid. It's just literally just way too big. But what I can tell you is it's winter here now, and we've been running this continuously to keep our mini split on. And when we go home on the weekend, we turn it all off. except for the battery. When we come in on Monday, the battery has been left on, but the inverter and everything is off just to conserve power so we're not heating the garage when no one's here. And the battery is always ready to go. It's always at a decent temperature. It's been at least negative 10 degrees Celsius over the weekends for the last couple weeks. And this battery is always perfectly happy to just fire up and get right to work. It's literally our best employee right now. The self-heating and the temperature protection and stuff seems to be doing its job well. And lastly, you want to talk about efficiency. Every battery should be about 100% efficient. I think moving forward, we just need to say if it was or wasn't. This battery was 100% efficient. It passed our test perfectly. It's rare that batteries aren't 100% efficient, but when they aren't, oh boy, do we roast them. So at the end of the day, this is a great battery, not only to be paired underneath an 18K with a little conduit box outside of your backyard in Texas, but this thing has so many applications, whether it's indoor or outdoor. If you're using it in a cabin, if you're using it in a greenhouse or a shed, just to save space versus traditional server rack batteries, or if you want to parallel a ton of these and actually back up your entire house, it's just a really cool and useful and versatile battery. If you're in the market, like we said, we have some codes in the description down below. Go ahead and use those. Call Signature Solar, maybe chat with someone, see if this is the best battery for your needs. Otherwise, that is all we got for you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out and stay charged.